Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today is my first day back on the water for the last 3 months. It's been crazy not to be able to get on the water, but now we finally got the new rig in the water. I turned over that Mercury for the first time just 5 minutes ago, and now, of course, we've got our annual break-in process. So I wanted to go ahead and do a video of me slipping down this ramp. No, I wanted to do a video about you know, some of the mistakes that people make when they break in an engine. You know, it's super important. This is a huge investment. You know, a Mercury 250 is not an inexpensive item, obviously, and so you want to start off your relationship with this beautiful beast in the right way. So breaking in your engine, super important. So we're going to go through 3 of the different mistakes that I see people make. I've been pretty careful over the years, and before we get started, just want to mention, follow your owner's manual. Everything is in your owner's manual. Yes, I've got some great videos on breaking in your Mercury engine, your 4-strokes, but definitely defer to the manual first. So let's go ahead and get started with some of the big mistakes breaking in a Mercury engine. All right, so the very first mistake that a lot of people make, okay, is over idling. You do not want to idle too much during the break-in process. The whole idea behind the break-in process is to make sure that the engine goes through its paces in different RPMs and doesn't stay at one RPM range for very long. And idling for too long is even worse than staying at, you know, say 4,000 RPM for too long. You know, with that being said, it's you know, when I put this boat in the water, I turned it over and let it idle for, you know, about 30-45 seconds, something like that. It was the first time I had ever turned over the engine, so I want to make sure everything gets lubricated. Something like that is fine. Obviously, you're going to have to idle through a no wake zone and things like that, and that's part of the thing. When you go to break in your engine, don't choose a location where you have to idle long distances to get into a no wake zone. You know, a minute or so is fine, but don't do 10, 15, 20 minutes of idling during the break-in process. That is super, super important and a big mistake. All right, so mistake number 2. This one is one that I actually had to have a Mercury tech tell me about, and I was glad that he told me about it. And that is, make sure that while you're running and, you know, adjusting your RPM ranges, which we'll talk about in a second, make sure that you go ahead and trim your engine all the way down. All right, so that's going to help you get on plane, number 1, but it's also going to help get everything seated. Okay, it's going to put a load on that engine, and it's going to allow you to make sure that all the bearings are seated, all of that stuff. It's very important to put a load on your engine by trimming it all the way down during the break-in process. Now, of course, when you're doing that short burst of full throttle occasionally, you know, for no more than 60 seconds, obviously you're going to have to trim it up. Trim it high, let it fly for that 60 seconds or less. But otherwise, trim her down. All right, so the third and final mistake that I think a lot of people make is not varying the RPM range too much. We already talked about not idling it for too much, but you also don't want to let it just sit at a certain RPM for very long. The manual is going to tell you to vary your RPM ranges up to 4,500 RPM. So what I like to do is I like to vary it about 750 RPM every couple of minutes, and that helps me make sure that I vary everything. And sometimes I even mix it up. I'll go from, you know, real slow to all the way up to that 4,500. You know, it's just really important to work the room, play around with those different RPM ranges within that range, and that's going to give your engine the most well-rounded break-in process. So anyways, guys, those are just some tips for me and from some Mercury techs that I've talked to along the way over the years. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, drop those comments below. Other than that, check out your owner's manual for more details, and I've also got some great break-in videos here on the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I gotta go cruise around in this puppy, so I gotta go. Trust the process, everybody.